The Bills are not playing well. I mean, they've been playing terrible actually, and
Yeah. And they beat up a Saints team who was, I mean, they're okay, but I
yeah,
mean,
but I
other than
mean, the
that, it's kind of
Saints
like
team they have no
quarterback.
they have no quarterback. Um, it's not it's not like they're playing lights out football, and it's no different than the Bucks game today. I don't know if anybody watched that game today, but I got to tell you, that game there was honestly, there was a couple of plays. There was one defensive pass interference call that should have never been called. Of course, it went the Bucks direction, but that was a game that really, honestly, I thought the Bucks. I knew the Bucks were somehow going to stay in this game. I just had a feeling, when it comes to Brady, it always happens. But they were getting their butts handed to them by a team that should, on paper, should have never been there. But they were.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think it kind of just showed you is how powerful the running game is. And more specifically, the Colts have Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best running backs we have in the league. And many Chiefs fans have lobbied to saying that the Chiefs should have got him. I mean, I see what they're saying is, but we got CH, so we got to roll with him regardless of how people feel. But when I saw that game, that showed me right there is this. If you have an offensive line like the Colts do, the Chiefs have that. If you have a great running backs, kind of like the Colts have, the Chiefs had that as well. If you can run the ball down run the ball down the Buccaneers defense and continue to get yards and let you score touchdowns, then why would you go away from that? There was 2 possessions that they went away from that, and it caused them to lose the lead. Now, granted, the fumble, they had a interception and 2 fumbles, and one was on punt return. So, I mean, that stuff's going to happen, but it just showed the formula, like, look, the same way they say you can beat Brady is the same way you can beat Mahomes. If you can limit their chances and run the ball down their throat with a good offensive line, the Chiefs can do that. So what I see from that is, look, I know I'm looking ahead, but if the Chiefs can theoretically somehow win the rest of their games, get a good spot in the playoffs, go through the playoffs, win the division, win every game they got to, win the AFC Championship game, and say they go against the Bucks in the Super Bowl, I am more confident. But from a standpoint, I'm seeing this. I know Andy does not like to throw the ball, but this is a time where you run the ball down people's throats, and you get this figured out now because this is what we're going to need in coming January. I really believe that. If we can continue to run the ball, it's going to help us a lot more in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's amazing to me, Brady threw another interception today. That is in fact, I had his numbers up. I think he has thrown an interception in at least one interception in the last 14 quarters. Let me take a look. He's thrown 6 straight picks in the last 14 quarters. 6 straight picks. Okay, but it's crazy when I'm listening to the halftime reports. Well, you got to expect that here and there. It's okay.
Mahomes was doing it. They were acting like he lost.
Oh my God, he was broken.
He's not good.
He was no good. Blah blah blah. It's but nobody has brought that up about Brady. Nobody. Look. This is the part I think of the NFL that annoys me. Is that, and it's not just the NFL. Some of the media, and it's almost like they get paid to say certain things because, honestly, I mean, there's certain analyst out there that will just, like a Shannon Sharpe, he'll just flat out say it no matter what. I don't think he's going to take money to say, Tom Brady is the greatest that ever played the game, because he's been jocking Mahomes since day one, and he'll never stop doing that. But I listened to so many different analysts over the last 2 weeks, really, and not one person has said, well, he's only one interception behind Mahomes, or
yeah, Brady that was an interesting stat. I don't interrupt you, man, but that was an interesting stat because Mahomes had pretty much the most interceptions, but you had guys that were right behind him that were quality starters, like a Brady, like these other guys out here, and I was kind of like, well, it doesn't make any sense. But when you fast forward now and you see Mahomes is not in the league in the lead for interceptions anymore, so it makes no sense to me. But at this point, as a Chiefs fan,
but he is in the lead for passing yards, and he's in the lead for other things. That's the crazy part, So it's just it's frustrating. The two things that I think that have gotten to me the most are the inconsistency with the officiating, and the fact that, again, they just don't see Brady as making mistakes when he makes mistakes, and it just is what it is. Until he's gone, and then they're still going to compare everybody else to Brady, no matter what. I mean,
well,
Mahomes,
that's what they're kind of saying right now. It's interesting. They're saying that the quarterback for New England, I forgot his name. He just completely
Mac Jones, he's a beast.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I mean, he's really good. I like Mac Jones.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though. His career is kind of paralleling like Brady, just the short and intermediate passes, and you have a good defense.
Yeah.
That's a team, though, I think when the Chiefs get to the playoffs, and if they can continue that and stay in the playoffs, that's a team where they're going to have to really play hard and get pressure on him, because he's getting those short, accurate, small, medium passes, not really throwing the ball deep down the field. And I feel like now our defense is in a position where if we can get pressure up on the line, and our linebacking core and cornerback group can do a good job covering receivers, I think we're in a good spot. But I feel like if we end up playing against like the Patriots, that's going to be a very difficult game. Just because you're playing against Belichick, and Belichick is no guy to walk in against.
No.
You need to do your homework, because he's going to do all his homework.
Yeah.
So just many different things from that standpoint.
And look what he's done with his defense. I mean, he's right back.
That defense is great. That defense is really great.
Mm-hmm. They are. And then that's what saved Brady for 20 years. I mean, honestly, when you really consider it and you really look at it, Brady's lifetime career average is like 249 passing yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. Maybe I think it was 2.5 touchdowns a game or something of that nature. It wasn't like off the chart numbers. And his defense has always been top 5, top 10, no matter what. Belichick has done the same thing again, but yet I think, in my opinion, Mac Jones right now, given the fact that he's so young, and I think he's got a lot more talent than a lot of people are giving him credit for. He's very, very high on the football IQ. And he's listening and he's learning. I give him a couple of years. Watch next year. I got
Mac Jones is going to be a top 10 quarterback next year.
Without fail. And I got a feeling they're going to be the team in that division.
They're going to retake the throne. Yeah. Because the Chiefs blew out the doors off the Bills. Okay, yeah, that was their Super Bowl. Because when you look at it now, the Bills have not looked like the same team. In my opinion, personally, they have not looked like the same team. And the Patriots are starting to take over that division. That's very important, because when you look at everything in general, right now, the Patriots are the number 2 seed and the Buffalo's the number 6 seed in the playoffs. So, I mean, hey, that just kind of speaks for yourself right there. The Patriots are 8-4 and the Buffalo Bills are 7-4. So, I mean, that's just a big, that's a big thing right there, just showing us like, hey, anything can happen in that division. The Belichick may have been gone for 1 year, but it allowed him to get his quarterback, the draft picks he needed, and he's ready to go. Yeah. He's ready to go.
Yeah. And, the thing is, you look at it in different perspectives. I mean, Belichick took a year to build his team, but how many quarterbacks or how many coaches can go out there and say it took me a year to build a team? Not many. I mean, it takes a lot, 99% of coaches out there, 98, if you take him and Andy out of the equation, it will take them years to build a team to be a winning football team. It usually takes them 3 to 5 years on average. You could take Super Bowl winning quarterback coaches, and it takes them 3 to 5 years to get a team built. But when it comes to Belichick, it comes to Andy, those are the guys that can build a team and get it built quickly and automatically just strive. And that's what they're doing.
And that's kind of what Andy Reid did with the first year with the Chiefs. Traded for Alex Smith that off season, was able to build this team up, went 9-0, finished 11-5 his first year, had a wild card loss, but other than that, the team did pretty well.
Yeah.
First season turnaround. You would not expect the Chiefs, when they went 2-14, to improve to 11-5 and have a playoff appearance.
Exactly. I mean, it's just part of it. And I saw a lot of trash talking about, one guy was kind of on my personal page was kind of right. I think it was even brought it up on the Focus page about, somebody's talking crap about us beating Dallas. And he said, well, yeah, you beat Dallas when you're playing our entire second team. No, we weren't. Zeke was out on the field. Dak was out on the field. You were missing a wide receiver, and you were missing 2 of your defensive players. You were missing 3 players when we beat you. Now, we took out one of your wide receivers. So when the Raiders beat you, you allowed a lot more points, or their defense. I'm sorry, I take that back. Your defense allowed a lot more points than we scored with the Raiders, or we had with the Raiders. But again, the Raiders beat you, which was beyond me. I couldn't believe that happened. But again, it's still the same team. For years, we went through a stint that we had nobody to step in and help. So if we lost a couple of players, we were still struggling. We were in no man's land. Yeah, we were in no man's land. We were dead in the water. The year that we went 14-2 and went to the Super Bowl and lost last year, we struggled from week 2 on with our offensive line. Back and forth, new people in, new people out. Everybody was just floating. It took until the AFC Championship game to lose our last top right guard, or left guard,
tackle, Eric Fisher tackle,
yeah, to really kind of cement the fact that we didn't have an offensive line anymore.
Yeah.
And among other things that went on during that game, but we were depleted in many ways, and we still played fairly well given the fact that we had the dropsies. Nobody was motivated. It was things were said by our own teammates that they saw the writing on the wall, things that were going on that
at halftime.
And it was just it was one of those things that you just couldn't. They knew they couldn't come back from that, just for the simple fact of how things were going with the play call, with the ref calls, and not the play calls, but the way the refs were considering things, the way things were going just in general. So using the excuse that you were down 2 players when we played you and beat you is not an excuse anymore. Now teams have gotten to the point to where if you lose a couple players, you got to have some backups.
And that's one thing I would say with Brett Veach. We have quality backups this year.
Yeah.
That is very, very important.
It is.
Because having these guys right now is so important, because Willie Gay was out. He had his injury stuff at the beginning of the year. We had a guy step in who we needed to. Baker, he's been kind of in and out of the lineup. Same with Mike Hughes. We've had quality guys be able to come in and take their spots, like Fenton. When you look at Tyrann Mathieu when he was out, Sorensen did what he could do. I mean, I feel like he for the position he was in, he did what he could do. It could have been a lot worse if we had someone else, in my opinion, personally. But we had guys we know that could step up in certain situations.
Yeah.
More specifically, when it comes to the running back position, CH was hurt. Darrell Williams came through. Derek Gore, guys like that. I know people may get on me about Sorensen, but hey, man, in a smaller role, he's showing up, showing out.
Yeah, he is.
Had some great hits, has got an interception. Now, we've gone through this before. We can't get mad at him. We can only get mad at the defensive coordinator because he's the one who's put him in those positions.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think Sorensen's going to come into his own this year. But just having guys like him around, knowing their strengths and weaknesses and figuring out, okay, this guy's better at this guy is this. Derek Gore is a great running back. We need to keep him on the roster. I mean, different things like that just shows, hey, next man up and attitude is very important for this team. That's what we have. So I'm not really worried, per se, if that were to happen.
No.
Well, quarterback-wise, maybe wide receiver, but other than that, I feel like this team is in a good position if something were to happen.
Well, and it's like, we've had to protect our quarterback, what's his name, Boucher.
Yeah, Boucher, yeah.
Yeah, we've had to protect him
Boucher.
like 3 times now on our practice squad because people keep trying to take him. And I like what Mahomes said is that, Mahomes said, hey, they keep trying to take my guy. And, that says a lot to me because for a young quarterback, there's not many quarterbacks in the league, young or old. Joe Flacco is a great example of that, would say that's not my job to groom anyone. But Mahomes learned at a very young age, because he was helped a lot by Alex Smith, that you're only as good as you're only as good as the person the person that you're trying to help. You're only as good as the person you employ. You're only as good as the people that you bring in around you. And Mahomes wants to help him and groom him